In this video we have an equation. We want to solve for x, and this expression right here is raised to the 1/2 power, so we want to get rid of that exponent of 1/2. To do that, we want to square the left side, which means we also square this right side. So we're going to be left with 44 minus 7x, and that's raised to the 2/2 equaling x squared. This becomes 2/2 because 1/2 times 2, because we do whenever we have a power raised to another power, we multiply. That 1/2 times 2 is going to be 2/2, which simplifies to be just 1, so we could get away with just writing that expression, 44 minus 7x equals x squared. Now we have a quadratic term right here. We also have a linear term right here, right? X squared and then an x to the first power. So whenever we see that, we think to factor, and then whenever we factor, we have to set it equal to 0. So let's get this side equal to 0. Means we have to subtract out that negative 40, or subtract out positive 44. So we subtract out 44 over here as well. You have to add 7x to cancel that out, which means we add 7x over here. So this whole side will equal 0. That all cancels. Whoops, that should be in black. This whole side equals 0. And then on this side we have x squared plus 7x minus 44. And we need to factor. So what two factors of negative 44 add up to be a positive 7 right here? And that's going to be positive 11 and then negative 4. So we have x positive 11 and then x minus 4. And then we could set both of these equal to 0. So 0 equals x plus 11, and then 0 equals x minus 4. If we're going to solve both of those, x will equal negative 11 and x will equal positive 4. So now negative 11 and 4 are going to be our final answers, and we want to check to make sure those aren't extraneous. So I'm going to plug in a negative 11 first for this x. So a negative 11 times that negative 7, that's going to be a positive 77. So it's going to look like 44 plus 77. That's all being raised to the 1/2 power, and that's going to equal negative 11 because that was just x on this right side. I'm going to get rid of what we actually wrote in here, make it a little clearer. So 44 plus 77 is going to be 121, all being raised to the 1/2 power. Now 1/2 power, that also is the same as if we were taking the square root. So I'm going to change that to the square root of 121 because that's the same as raising 121 to the 1/2 power, and that equals negative 11. Now whenever we take the square root of a number, it has to be a positive number, which in this situation it isn't. So there's no way that x can equal negative 11. That's going to be extraneous. So I'm going to write that in there, extraneous. If you actually do the square root of 121, that's going to be positive 11. So that's not going to work. Now let's try our x equals 4. So if I plug in a 4 right here for the x, negative 7 times 4 is going to be a negative 28. And then we've got 44 minus 20. That's going to be 16. And we're taking the square root of that because, or we could just say that 16 is raised to the 1/2 power. That's the same thing. And then that equals x. So if we plug in our 4 that we're checking to make sure works right here, we're going to have the square root of 16 equals 4. And if we actually do that, that equals that. So it all checks out. X is going to be 4, and that's your final answer. X equals negative 11, that's an answer as well, but it's an extraneous solution, so that wouldn't be included as one of the answers that checks out.